Level 3 clearance confirmed. Identity verified. You are now accessing the classified briefing file for SCP-1981. This overview will cover the object's baseline containment parameters, its core anomalous properties, and the documented playback deviations. Please note, emotional detachment during the review of this highly sensitive material is an absolute requirement.
Directory load confirmed. Today we will be moving sequentially through 6 modules: baseline profile and containment, anomalous playback and deviation, somatic trauma progression, the longitudinal manifestation matrix, the entity profile for SCP-1981-1, and finally, hazard protocols and directives.
Beginning with Module 1, Baseline Profile and Containment. In its dormant state, SCP-1981 is entirely unremarkable. Laboratory analysis confirms we're looking at a standard Betamax tape manufactured in September of 1980. It was recovered in 1991 by a filing clerk working at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. You will note the specific misspelling on the adhesive label. It reads, "Ronald Reagan cut up while talking," written in a standard felt-tip pen. Foundation personnel secured the object shortly after a low-level police investigation. Its true origin, however, remains completely unknown. Containment protocols for this object at Site Redacted are strictly enforced. The tape is kept in secure video storage. To observe the anomaly, personnel are required to use the provided Betamax home video system and a standard analog television. We have found that any attempts to digitally duplicate the tape itself fail entirely, so all playbacks have to be captured via an external camcorder recording the television screen directly. Furthermore, because we are dealing with natural signal degradation, strict isolation from any strong magnetic sources is a permanent operational mandate. The core anomaly of SCP-1981 is only triggered upon playback. The baseline recording appears to be former United States President Ronald Reagan delivering his evil empire speech in Orlando, Florida on March 8, 1983. But this is not a static recording. Every time the tape is rewound and playback is reinitiated, the contents alter entirely. The subject delivers completely unscripted, divergent speeches, all while simultaneously enduring spontaneous, invisible, and extreme physical mutilation. Moving to Module 2, Anomalous Playback and Deviation. After decades of logging these playbacks, we have mapped the precise timeline of degradation. A standard playback begins normally at the 0-hour mark. The primary speech deviation on set occurs reliably at exactly 1 minute and 10 seconds, where the subject's words diverge heavily from the historical record. By the 5-minute mark, we see the onset of somatic trauma. This playback continues until 22 minutes and 34 seconds, which always results in total tape failure and static. The anomalous speeches delivered by the subject have been extensively documented and are categorized into 3 main branches of thematic architecture. Branch 1 consists of largely incoherent, nonsensical parables that lack any logical structure. Branch 2 focuses heavily on severe dark thematics, specifically torture, ritual sacrifice. Most critically for our predictive models, Branch 3 contains verified prophecies. The subject has accurately referenced future events that were mathematically impossible to predict in 1983. This includes the September 11th terrorist attacks, as well as the exact results of the 2008 Russian elections. Proceeding to Module 3, Somatic Trauma Progression. The physical mutilations inflicted on the subject by an invisible, unidentified source are broken down into 3 somatic trauma zones. Zone 1 involves deep lacerations across the bare eye sockets, alongside punctures that penetrate the forehead and temples. Zone 2 involves catastrophic structural damage, usually a clean severance of the neck and spinal column. Zone 3 targets the torso and extremities, featuring the complete bisection of the arms, severe impalement, and extensive genital mutilation. Now, it is absolutely vital to understand the biological impossibility of what is being depicted here. The core anomaly isn't just the trauma itself. It is that despite suffering extreme bodily harm that would instantly terminate an ordinary human being, the subject remains completely animate. He will continue delivering the altered speech unhindered. He clearly displays an awareness of the physical pain, yet he is unable to stop speaking until the mechanical failure of either the vocal cords or the spinal column makes speech physically impossible. Module 4, the Longitudinal Manifestation Matrix. Our historical data illustrates a very clear trajectory of escalation. In the 1993 log, we recorded themes of cannibalism and entities referred to as unravelers, alongside severe physical trauma. In the 1996 log, the subject made references to a Google burn, which was paired with critical, catastrophic trauma. However, I direct your attention to the data for the year 2005. we observed an unprecedented shift. The primary subject is entirely absent, trauma levels are therefore non-applicable, and a secondary anomalous entity is confirmed to be present. To provide some clinical context for this matrix, let's review a direct transcription from the 1993 playback. The subject states, "I see circles that are not circles, billions of dead souls inside containment. Unravelers have eaten country's moral fabric." At exactly 19 minutes and 15 seconds into this specific playback, the subject winces in severe pain. The left arm is then cleanly bisected, and lacerations spontaneously manifest across his temples. Notably, the recorded audience laughter continues unabated until the signal degrades into static. The 1996 event marks a severe escalation in our somatic trauma data. The clinical annotation for this log confirms that at the 16-minute mark, the invisible wounds to the neck were so severe that the spine was severed entirely. The head remained attached only by a few strands of muscle tissue. But despite this effective decapitation, the body remained animate for an additional 3 minutes. The subject actually continued to gesture toward the audience, while the spinal column was visibly and methodically withdrawn from the neck cavity. Module 5. Entity Profile for SCP-1981-1. Statistical analysis of our playback logs reveals that the presence of SCP-1981-1 is not a constant variable. The entity manifests in approximately 14% of recorded viewings. That translates to an appearance rate of roughly 1 in every 7 playbacks. In the remaining 86% of viewings, the anomaly remains strictly confined to the mutilation of the primary subject. Gathering visual and behavioral data on SCP-1981-1 is severely hampered by tape degradation. When the entity is present, it appears as a figure clothed entirely in black robes, wearing a conical hood. Facial features are completely indiscernible. Behaviorally, it simply replaces a random member of the press detail in the background. It does not speak, its intent, its significance, and its underlying identity remain entirely unclassified and unknown to Foundation personnel. Which brings us to the structural breakdown of the 2005 log, an event classified as a total paradigm shift. At the 0-hour mark, there was an unprecedented absence. Ronald Reagan and the entire press entourage were simply gone. Only an empty podium was visible on screen. At 2 minutes and 55 seconds, SCP-1981-1 entered the frame from the left. It stood alone, entirely motionless at the podium for the remainder of the recording. At 22 minutes and 34 seconds of that 2005 playback, the tape did not merely degrade to static as it usually does. Instead, the video feed flashed to a single frame intertitle colored in red. The text read exactly, "I see you." This frame held its position for exactly 7 seconds before immediately cutting to static. Our final section, Module 6, Hazard Protocols and Directives. The visual data contained within SCP-1981 is, by its nature, highly disturbing. Therefore, a strict psychiatric mandate remains in full effect. Any personnel experiencing nausea, squeamishness, or psychological distress following the observation of the extreme bodily harm inflicted upon the subject must report immediately to the on-site psychiatry facility. A Level 3 psychiatric evaluation is mandatory. There are absolutely no exceptions to this protocol. Finally, we must emphasize the primary entity directive. Should SCP-1981-1 be observed during any future playback, personnel are strictly forbidden from attempting to communicate with the television or the entity within it. Any visual confirmation of the entity's presence requires the immediate alerting of the Level 4 supervisors currently on duty. It is well documented that the 2005 playback was the final recorded appearance of SCP-1981-1. The entity has been permanently absent in all subsequent viewings over the last 2 decades. This data demands a highly disturbing analytical conclusion. If the entity is no longer contained within the tape's recording, where is it now observing from? Terminating briefing connection. This concludes today's briefing. If you wish to maintain your current clearance level and ensure continued access to the Versarian database, a subscription to this channel is mandatory. Secure your connection by leaving a like on this file, and log your requests in the comments section below to dictate which anomaly we unseal next. Stay vigilant and expect your next set of logs every day. Secure, contain, protect.